Welcome back to the broadcast. We're still on youths, but this time around we're talking about youth unemployment in Kenya and generally the aspect of education. And we have guests, Zaina Kombo, Program Officer, Haki Africa, and we also have Walter Odondi, Program Officer, TVET Advocacy, Zizi Africa Foundation, as we delve this deep into this conversation. Good to have you, ladies and gentlemen. Before we took that break, that is on the previous panel, and I know we'll touch on some of the things that we had discussed as well, but we expound the conversation further because, well, this is one that we'll have for the longest of time until we're able to achieve so much as youths in terms of growth of the nation. As they would rightfully say, it is for us the future, and so we should start shaping it as early as now. So we're asking, youth or youths? Youth. Which is right? Youth. Youth is right.
Yeah, youth is a...
It's like you people were watching me and you did your homework.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
You were actually watching and you said, the next guest will have to tell us whether it's youth or youth. And the English, the correct English is youth.
Youth.
Though most of us say youth, but the correct one.
Oh, I say youth a couple of times, and I know that is
women.
Yeah, women is not women, but at least that one is straight. This one of youth.
But it's still a group.
Youth,
yeah, people say youth.
So we're here with the youth.
Youth, women.
But the correct English is youth.
Is youth. Yeah. All right, now you know. So next time, don't be like youth. So we were a group of youths had to join to do what and everything. It's really important that sometimes you know some of these things. So when you hear me say youths, please forgive me, because it depends on the person who taught me, English. But I hope I'll be able to get it right as time goes by. So here we are, and we're talking about employment. We understand very well that employment is really, really important and it's key. Today we're speaking about the fact that there are no jobs in the country. And on numerous occasions, we've looked at the direction of the government saying, well, what happened to the numerous promises that you made in terms of creation of jobs? But it has gotten to a point where we realize that, we need to wake up and smell the coffee and probably just work towards, earning a living for ourselves, not necessarily waiting for jobs of employment. But even as we speak about employment, I think it starts from the basic, the aspect of education. And so let's start from that particular level. I'm being told with the CBC that there's a lot of schooling that goes on, yet we do not focus much on the quality of education. Well, it's too early to judge the CBC, but such also was with the 84.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if she...
Forgive me. Oh, ladies first. All right, it's okay.
If you look at the quality of education, if I may speak from the perspective of 844, I can agree that we were pumped into information and you're meant to somehow cram. And lucky for those of us who had parents or neighbors or friends who could teach us skills. Skills such as cooking, basic skills such as kneading, such as painting, and we were able to grow the little talents we had. And if God forbid something goes wrong and you don't have employment, at least you have a skill, even if it's one that you can try and figure out, okay, how can I put this and this together and start something. The most unfortunate thing is about how we focus so much on grades. That I'm an A student, that I'm this and that. And sometimes these A students also don't perform the best at work anyway. They can perform 100% at the interview, impress you with the good English, do all manner of things. But when it comes to, when the rubber meets the road, things can get different. So it's important that we appreciate skills.
Okay, and we are going to that aspect of skills, and we appreciate the coming in of the competency-based curriculum. But as we review on the same, at these early stages, we also realize that, it is coming in with a difference, but not, coming in to solve some of the critical issues that we have had, that we seek to cure, that came along with 844 system, that, come along with the difficulties of our students or our children not being able to fit into the job market as it is. So are we getting it even wrong?
I think we are trying. We actually are doing what we can as different stakeholders, as government, as the CSO. But then looking at it, it's CBC and CBET is not the silver bullet. There are a lot of things that we need to do, and from a study that we did at ZZ Afrique in 2019 and all that, there are a lot of skills that the employers require now. We're focusing on technical skills. We're forgetting to teach the heart. We are forgetting to teach also the head and the hands as well. So the idea is, yes, let's go CBET, but then how do we also ensure that these young people can get to school, can also interact with other people? Just like this, the people have been saying that looks are taking people to marriage and then the attitude is taking them back. It's the same way the university certificate is taking people to work, but then their life, their attitude, their skills, their values are taking them back out of work. So how do we ensure that the skills that these youth are getting while in the TVET space, even in the education space, matches what what the employers want? Yeah. So how do we ensure that these skills they are getting is competent, is quality enough to get them jobs, not now, but also the jobs of the future? We have forgotten really about technology. And if you look at the COVID period, when while other developed countries were continuing with studies, ours had to stop completely. And then we ask ourselves, what can we do as stakeholders? What can we do to ensure that these skills, like technological skills, like ICT skills, are there for this youth to continue learning for employment?
And speaking of which, then we have seen this happening, and now that we embrace the aspect of skills and we say that, well, at least we're getting to that direction. There's one thing that we are constantly doing. We're focusing much on the bare minimum. We're only giving the bare minimum. We don't focus much on making sure that we seal this to bring out experts. And I mean, probably that's the reason why we say that we have very many people who studied engineering in the country. But when we want to work on our roads, then we go and outsource. We go to China and bring, engineers. We have very many people who've done maybe, quantity, survey. But then again, we have to go to other countries in source for them. So yes, we have these courses. Yes, we have these skills being incorporated into our students. But in real sense, we have not pushed them to levels where we can have these people coming out as experts.
Well, I would say that's a mistake on our part as a society at large. A number of times we've seen in supermarkets where we also import toothpicks. And if you look at, I cannot say that we don't have quality engineers or professionals or these experts. We do have them. But when it comes to negotiating, we don't want to pay them that much. And so we'd rather import and do our, sorry to say, but corrupt deals, so we get our cut in, because this person who's gone through, say, University of Nairobi, earned their degree, knows how much it took sweat and blood for them to get there, most probably coming from a very humble background. They won't stoop to a certain level that sometimes people want. So the problem is not that we don't have experts. By the way, we do. And even if you look at the medical profession, we do have. And our hospitals are some of the best in Africa, really.
Do we have them? Yes, but they do just enough to get them by. Speaking of the hospitals, now that you said, you go into, say the national hospitals, and you'll be told, really there's nothing much in terms of service that you get, unless you now have to go to the private hospitals of these, very same individuals that will treat you on this end and again treat you on the other end. Maybe when you go on the other end where you have to dish out cash is when you can now get quality service, because it ceases to be service and it becomes business.
Yeah, I look at that thing in different perspectives. One is the industry. Sorry, no, not really industry, but the education space. Because you go to an institutions of learning, and the technology they use is really outdated. You want to learn, say for example, let me take you back. Let me take you to TVET. You want to learn about motor electrics. You want to learn about motor vehicle mechanics. But the engine, you'll find there is a carburetor engine, and it keeps on changing now. So how do we get jobs with this kind of outdated training? Also, then the other thing is, what kind of skills do this youth we have in the country have to make them better than those that are outside? So we also need to invest in building a holistic youth who is able not only to do this work, but to also source for this work. How do you sell yourself out there? Yes, I agree with Zaina that there's those aspects of corruption and people wanting to get labor from outside, negotiated labor. But other countries have done this. You can cap that kind of like opportunities and say, for example, we need 30% from outside, and then 60% is employed locally. If those kinds of policies, if those kind of laws are made, we'll also have, like, yes, we have that quality kind of training, but also employing our youth. It's really a paradox that Kenya is one of the biggest economies in the East African region, but also the one with the biggest number of unemployment.
Well, if we're to get this cap, and that I agree, and unemployment is a problem, you know, across the global fraternity.
Yes.
If we are to take that direction, you know, such stringent policies being put, let's look at the basics. Exactly. The road again. And I mean, how many times have you passed on the road and said, you know, hii am China, unaona vile iko poa? How many times? Let's just be honest and have this conversation. And you know, there was a video of one individual that was going around, you know, who speaks a lot about issues, and he says, you know, it's not the fact that we actually do not have jobs. It's the fact that, you know what, you put a Kenyan onto your shop today, your M-Pesa shop or your shop. You go, by the time it's evening, they have fleeced almost everything from you. By the time is 2, 3, 4 months, you have zero stock. And you cannot account to what it is that you put there in terms of, you know, capital, and in terms of, you know, setting up this particular shop. And therefore, in as much as we would confidently say that it's all right, we sometimes outsource so much so, and there should be a cap on this. Reality is that, do we get value for money in the event that we focus much on our own?
Yeah, that is really a deep-rooted question, and it's not only the youth. It's something that is across board, all the way to the top leadership. But then, what, like I said before, we've only been teaching the hands at the expense of the heart. How do we ensure that these young people are people of value? People who are honest, people who are in line with what we say in the chapter 6 of the Constitution. So how do we ensure that we build this leadership, value-based youth, who you can trust with your job, you can trust? Yes, like Zaina was saying, we have skills. We have skills, yes, but how do we ensure that these people are trustworthy enough to be trusted with work, to do it, and to do it well? So yeah, that's where we're bringing in that aspect of whole youth development. How do you holistically develop this young person to grow holistically? Yes.
Zaina, we talk of that aspect of making sure that we inculcate these values, and you mentioned something to do, you know, of lucky you that you had parents who were there to train you on some basic skills and everything. What is the importance of parental engagement then in this case? What is the importance of inculcating these values, one from the family unit and now proceeding to levels of, you know, educational institutions?
Well, I'm not a child expert, but I know children and young people learn by seeing. Apart from what you tell a child, they learn from looking at you, what you do, how you dress, how you walk, how you do this and that. Even from the family level, So that is what is missing to some of the youth who have either gone through a lot of abuse, who are going through a lot of broken marriages, there's a bit that if you miss at your early stages, it ends up affecting you, affecting your confidence levels, and this turns up when you're looking for work. You find you're not confident because you don't have someone at home telling you can do this, you go and do this, you can, yes you're able, yes you're this and that. There are many families that are housing youth or children who are going through a lot of trauma without even knowing, and without parents knowing how to address these things. So people grow up with these things, people grow up with this trauma, and it manifests into some other things. So instead of, for example, this person focusing on their skills and how they can grow this business or find out something they can do or look for work, they're busy either stealing, they're busy either abusing their own family, rest of family members. They're doing all manner of dirty things that you wouldn't expect, and people, or they're busy getting depressed, and finally you hear someone has killed themselves. There are a number of times we've had children killing themselves, and so it's a big societal problem that only manifests when it comes to now people looking for work or someone trying to establish themselves in their career or something like that.
Reality is that times have changed, and therefore you will not have your mom at home as my mom used to be back then. You know, reality is that you know, everyone is running up and about trying to make ends meet, and so somehow these young techs have been left to figure it out on their own. What are some of these things that we need to do? You know, because then in adapting to the changes of time, in adapting to the harsh realities of time, I mean, what are some of the things that we need to do so that we don't lose it somewhere on the way? Because we can't just let it be simply because we don't have the parents who will keep you straight, and I mean simply because then we don't have the values that we had back then. We don't have, you know, family involvement as it was back then.
I would emphasize on mentorship, and mentorship not just for your brother or sister, but at least even for your own school where you went to, primary school, high school. And I want to challenge even myself. I need to go back and talk to the girls, talk to them, tell them, you know, how life is out here. Sometimes you get this degree, you don't immediately get a job that fits that degree, or you have a skill, and sometimes you just have to look around and look for an opportunity. Where I started as a volunteer. And I know what it means to also be rejected as a volunteer. There's an organization I went, I'm done with my degree, not yet at Kenya School of Law, but I was told, you know what, you just go and you need to go and finish Kenya School of Law before you can come and volunteer. It hurt. It hurt so much. And were it not for that kind of, I don't know whether I can call it self-motivation, that despite these people rejecting me, I can still go somewhere else and give out my services as a young legal mind. That is what really changed my life, and that is really what took me through my career path. The acceptance. And you know where that was? In the slums of Majengo, this Nairobi. And mind you, I don't come from Nairobi. I was so new, I didn't even know the roots, anything like that. But I just had the motivation that, you know, somewhere in this city, people need my services. And I've been given this education, despite all odds, I need to share these skills, I need to. So a number of times I go to some youth spaces and I tell them what, it's difficult, it's hard, it's painful, but just when you don't have, sometimes that is when you need to get out and do something. It's contradicting, but
it is the truth of the matter. And I know you have to go out there and knock doors. You want to say something briefly before we take a quick break? Yes.
So yes, the parents are really important, because values are developed really at that young age. And I'm happy that CBC has realized that it's important to engage parents from the very first stage. We have had a lot of people complaining about it, and parents who don't want to stay with their children, but the parent is a blackboard. the child has to look at the parent and to be able to develop in honesty, to develop as a trustworthy person. But then the other thing for me is that we need to deboard schools, because we've had a lot of parents who are running away from parental duties.
But are they running away in reality?
Because look at it this way. Why should you take a child who is 5 years to a boarding school? Why should you take a class 2 child to a boarding school when they need?
Are there instances that happens? I think they start from age 4 going from class 4.
No, they're class 1, they're class 2 who go to boarding schools. And even so, the child does not develop until they're 18. So for me, my thoughts are let's have these children at home.
How realistic is that?
Until class 8.
How realistic is that?
I'd like to support.
Support the same. All right, I'll allow you the chance to support. Yes, we're coming in 30. Well, it's 9:30, so let's take a quick break and then come back to you and get your view on the same. I'm just trying to imagine how realistic then that can be, but probably there could be a point as to that after this break.
Exactly.
To expand the conversation even further as we look at the progress that we've made, the things that are considered to be challenges, and how then best we move forward. It was good having you. The conversation on youth.
Maybe just to invite people.
30 seconds because there's not much time.
Yeah, so just to invite people to our launch. We are launching our strategic plan on Friday, and it would be really nice to also have people join, young people, children, people in the education space to join us on that day. So it's really important to have.
How? I will send my invoice, worry not.
Yes.
How?
So we have a link on our social media pages. You can check it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Zizi Afrique Foundation. You'll get the link to join the strategic launch. Thank you.
Thank you too. Check them out and see. I mean, who knows? This could be beneficial, and without doubt, I can attest to the fact that it's likely to be beneficial. That is based on the conversation that we've had right now. So thank you so much once again. We close this at this level as we look forward to see you again tomorrow on Morning Cafe. Up next is Kirubi on standby to make sure that he updates you on what is happening in the world of news. My name is Linda Alela. Do have yourself a lovely day ahead. I see you again tomorrow.